I'm John McNamara, one of the senior inventors in the IBM Hertie Lab, and today I'm with Andrew Humphreys. Hello, Andrew, how's it going, buddy? You all right?
I'm good, thanks, John. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, not too bad.
Great.
Yeah, we're in our new digs in the IBM Innovation Centre. What do you think?
It's amazing. Look at all those machines.
I know, it's really cool. If you look back previously, we were doing it in my office, and to be honest with you, I quite liked it. We did the same panache.
No, it doesn't really tell you what we do here, does it?
No, indeed, you're quite right. So we're going to talk today about IBM Integration Bus and how it can transform your enterprise so it's competitive in the new digital economy.
Great.
Fantastic. So before we get started with that, do you want to tell everyone what you do here at IBM?
Yeah, so my name is Andrew Humphreys. I run the offering management team for our integration products, including Integration Bus. And offering management is basically around deciding the strategy and content of the product. So we try and understand the market that we're operating in, define the content that we want for new releases or new products, and then take them to market.
Fair enough. So he's the perfect person to ask the question. For those people who have not seen Hangout before, what actually is integration?
What is integration? So, well, integration is evolving. So I'll start with what it's traditionally been about. Is if you think about that, you have a variety of different computer systems probably within your organisation.
Right.
And they all contain data that you want to actually share with other applications and systems within your organisation. So you need a way to be able to get the data from one system to another system. And part of the problem that you'll find is your system running on, say, Kix will describe data in a different way than your system running, say, on a PC.
Okay.
So a customer, although it's basically the same data, might be described in some kind of fixed length format on the mainframe, but XML somewhere else. So what you need is something in the middle which can actually do that translation between the different data structures for you. So that's one part of integration.
Okay.
The other part of integration is that the way that you can actually get at that data on different systems is different. So it might be that it produces a file, or it might be that it's a database, so you can execute like SQL queries against it.
Yeah.
Or it might use some kind of messaging stuff like IBM or web services, and more frequently these days things like RESTful services, API-based services. Right. And if you go to the effort of actually trying to rewrite the connections within the application itself. So let's say I have the ability to call a web service, but currently I can only produce a database on the system I want to talk to. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work, requires a lot of custom coding, and takes up a lot of time. And you don't really want your application coders doing that, because their time is better spent on doing things which are real business value. So products like Integration Bus exist to make that challenge easier. So it can understand a huge variety of different transport protocols, a huge variety of different data formats and data standards, including open standards and industry standards.
Right.
For example, Swift is a very big standard in financial messaging, or HIPAA in healthcare. We have built-in formats for that. That makes it very easy to transform data between different systems and different transport protocols. You can do everything graphically, or you can drop into code to do it if your needs are more complex. And you can build more complex logic within what you're doing to actually add value in the middle. So you can get things like visibility of what's actually going on, what's the data flowing through your organization. Right. So it's an excellent place to feed analytic engines from.
Right, I see.
You can apply things like security policies. So, for example, the log on I might use to Kix, do I really want my PC-based application to know that ID? Or can I just validate that the user on the PC is authorized and have IIB actually make the connection back into you?
Okay.
So it's a classic problem that has existed for a long time. It's gone through various evolutions and architectural terms. So it's gone through the names like EAI, which is Enterprise Application Integration, then morphed in the SOA period to what we would call an Enterprise Service Bus,
right.
Where the model there is, instead of connecting one system to another system, you're actually exposing your system as a reusable interface. And today it's very much the centre of digital economy, and the ability to take advantage of all the data you have in your different systems for that basis.
Fantastic. So how does IBM Integration Bus relate to integration in that case?
In the digital economy?
Yes.
Yeah. So the digital economy is a real paradigm shift that's happened, not just in the IT industry, but in business in general. You have to view it as what it's really about is finding new ways that you can engage with your clients, and being more innovative and quick to respond to changes in the market. So if we look at, say, retail as an example, what retailers want to be able to do is they want to be able to reach the consumer in any way that they possibly can. And if we look at what's happened in terms of the amount of people who now have mobile phones or internet access, people want to be able to use all of those different things, which are different channels into the business, in one consolidated form. So I can be able to look at things on my mobile phone.
Yeah.
I could maybe then go onto a website and actually reserve something, and then go into store and pick it up. Okay. That is a real challenge in terms of the infrastructure that retailers typically have, because they were built very big silos. So they have a big silo of IT infrastructure which copes with the store, a big silo of just walking behind it, big silo of that they built for their web channel.
Yep.
They don't want to have to then go and rebuild all that again for their mobile channel. They want to get better integration between them. The other way that you can look at digital transformation is it actually causes a divide in IT.
Okay.
So if we look at IT traditionally, it's been very much about how do I control my data? How do I manage things? How do I control, like, systems of record is a term we use quite a lot in the industry, where I actually have a big ledger of truth for my business. So that's my system, my big mainframe system, for example, is all about, got all my customer data in here, I've got all my stock data in here, I've got my billing data in here. If I want to make, like, say, like a payment of some kind, I want it to be 100% right 100% of the time. Okay. So as a result, IT within the enterprise has evolved to be very very rigorously tested, very highly available, very secure, and very fast processing, but with very slow change cycles, because nothing can afford to go wrong. We can't afford to lose any data.
Sure.
So that introduces the rigor of architecture and testing and so forth. But then if we look at the digital transformation world, it's all about innovation. It's all about how can I quickly respond to a change in the market. So, for example, any, like, mobile app that gets created is not expected to last for 20 years.
Sure.
It's expected to be one version that's probably going to change in 2 months' time. And then I'm just going to throw it away and try something else, or find some new other hook into the business. It doesn't have to all be driven by mobile. Digital is not necessarily about mobile. But organizations have to respond to that challenge, because if you look at things like, say, the taxi industry, there's, like, Uber has demolished many other taxi companies, and it doesn't even own any cars. Yeah. It's all driven by its digital experience, in that I can actually do the whole thing with my cell phone. I can order a car, I can see when it's going to arrive, I know who the driver is, I can pay for it online, I know exactly how much it's going to cost. It's a very different model than paying for paying for the taxi, trying to flag one down the rain or so on. Sure. Same sort of thing has happened in the hotel market with Airbnb. Yeah. Sure. Again, same sort of model. It's all driven by their digital infrastructure, enabling them to match supply with demand without actually anything in the middle. And that's been a huge challenge for businesses to cope with.
Yeah, and I can imagine as well that you've got, if you want to say, you've got an end-to-end experience, like booking a holiday, you've got flights, you've got taxi, you've got hotels. Mm-hmm. You can actually do an end-to-end experience without having to book one separately, then go somewhere else, and go somewhere else.
Well, that's a very good point, John, because that highlights the. I know. Well done.
I'll write it
down. I applaud you for that. You've highlighted one of the big challenges of this model. As I defined, like, there's kind of these two different IT camps now.
Yeah.
There's our innovative, exciting young guys, hipsters,
Right.
creating some cool stuff. And then there's our older guys like yourself, John.
Thank you.
At the back office, doing our stuff. Ooh, you don't want to do that.
Yes. Yeah, true.
But if I'm going to build that digital application, I have to be able to talk to the systems at the back end.
Yes.
Because if I don't, like you just said, the reservation system is a classic system of record.
Yeah.
That understands like what availability I have and is right. If I can't actually update that system from my mobile app, I don't have a very engaging digital experience. All I can do is see that that hotel exists, and then it will say something like, "Send me an email to make a reservation." And that isn't what you want. And bringing these two worlds together is a big challenge. Okay, it's like going back to my Airbnb example. In the hotel industry, you can see a similar sort of split, which is Airbnb, very popular for people going on vacation.
Right.
Yeah? But actually, it's still traditional hotels that people on business trips go to. You don't typically go to a business hotel, see a bunch of kids running around.
True.
And you didn't want to go on a business trip where there's like a huge pool with like hundreds of families sitting around sunning themselves, and you've got to walk off in the suit. So I made that analogy to highlight that the two worlds don't really work that well together.
Okay.
So if I'm the IT guy working on the back end systems, wanting to go and stay in a hotel, I don't want it to be a holiday hotel, and so you get this friction that is going to exist between these two teams. So how do they work together? And this is really where IIB and the rest of the IBM integration portfolio can really help you, because what IIB has always been very good at is exposing that data that you have in those back-end systems in a way that some other system can consume it.
Right.
And the language, if you like, which is driving a lot of this digital transformation is, as I mentioned earlier, the RESTful services, APIs, which are very much about encapsulating pieces of useful business function in a really easy and accessible interface.
Okay.
Trouble is, of course, all your back-end systems don't really have the ability to expose the useful function in the way that the digital teams want to consume it.
Yeah.
Maybe they could expose a REST API, but it doesn't mean that it's really the right function, because it might be they have to call 4 or 5 different systems and aggregate that data together. And that's another strength of IIB. So what you can have IIB doing is your IT teams can use it as a tool to build APIs which actually hide all the complexity, all the mess of having to integrate to these different systems, but also ensure that it's all done in a fully transactional, fully scalable way.
Wow.
But exposes that function out to the people actually building things out of those APIs.
So you can actually have that back-end system kind of like an extra revenue stream as a service.
Yeah, you can unlock the data that you have in there to actually get a new channel working for you. So going back to my analogy earlier about a shop, I've got all the system stock information for my stores stored in that system. Wouldn't it be nice if I could actually get my mobile app to tell me, well, actually, if you go to the store down the end of the road here, it does have exactly what you want in stock, and I can reserve it for you now.
Yeah.
And you just walk in and collect it. So that means you need to be able to integrate across all of these different systems, all of your new digital systems, your engagement systems, we call them, with those systems of record. And that's what IIB is the key to unlocking that data in those digital systems. But it's not just an integration bus story. There's more to it in terms of what IBM integration can do. So what we also have is this concept that, okay, I have a whole set of APIs talk to my backend systems. How do I make developers aware of, how do I let these people who are building things know what's there? How do I actually monitor what they're using? How do I stop them getting overloaded? Because these systems weren't typically built for millions of requests a day, they were built for hundreds. And we have a product which fits very nicely with Integration Bus called API Management.
Yeah.
What that does is it enables you to expose your APIs out to anyone who wants to consume them. So you have effectively a marketplace of APIs, and it controls things like people can then sign up to use that API, and you can enforce policies on how often they can actually access it, how frequently they can access it, and so forth, and get a whole bunch of analytics about what's actually happening, what's really being useful. So you can start looking, well, how often are people actually making the stop query request? And
right.
do we need to beef up the infrastructure behind it?
Okay.
And then beyond that, API management also nicely hooks in with our Bluemix platform, which is a platform very much aimed at this digital mobile system of engagement building experience. It lets you take APIs, craft them correctly, build applications out of them. So we can cover the whole continuum of the digital side of the world, the system of engagement, the new innovative side with our Bluemix environment, all the way through to exposing the data on the back-end system from Integration Bus in a way that can be consumed, and managing that bit in the middle, the bridge, the glue in the middle, being APIs with our API management product. So we have an excellent platform, integrated platform, which can help you deliver end-to-end that whole experience.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Either way, that you can use more traditional back-end systems to stimulate external innovation.
Absolutely.
Which is really, really nice.
And that's the way that traditional companies can compete in this world. How do they stop losing to, say, Uber and so forth?
Yeah.
It's because they can actually take advantage of their existing infrastructure and their existing real differentiators in the market. So like a big hotel chain has thousands of hotel rooms. Yeah. They can take advantage of that if you can get at that data.
And you can actually utilize other people's innovation to bring revenue in to your business, which is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
Exposing your back-end systems. Yeah. That's fantastic. So where can we find out more about this at IIB?
So you can find out IIB information by just going to the IBM homepage, searching for IBM Integration Bus. If you want to take a look at the product, we have like a whole bunch of information on our IBM Integration community. Yep. If you were to just to Google IBM Integration community, you'll get taken to the site. It will give you, it's not a sales message site, it's like, what does this product do? What sort of performance can you get out of it? Answers to a few questions around that.
Fantastic.
We have, on that site, we have a whole set of forums where anybody can ask any question. We actually have the development team monitoring that forum, so you can actually get response direct from the people who actually build the product.
Nice.
And we also, just on that point about the community, we're very much a product which tries to be very open. So we have, as part of that community, we have a GitHub site where we put extensions to the product. Yeah. And you can just download the code for that and rewrite it or reuse it however you want. It gives us a way of extending the capabilities of the product and allowing the community to contribute to that.
Nice.
So that's where I would recommend starting.
I'll make sure the links are in the notes as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We can put the links in there.
Sure. We've got a couple of questions from Twitter.
Okay,
so
great.
One I've already answered already, which is what do you mean by digital economy? But I think you've already covered that one. Mm-hmm. And if I'm new to starting with IIB, is there an easy way to get into it? Is there a cloud offering that can just link to online?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a cloud offering for IBM Integration Bus. It's a fully managed offering, meaning that IBM provides the infrastructure for you, manages the environment, ensures it's available, and so forth. If you just were to go to the IBM Integration Bus homepage, there's a link where you can get started. You can sign up for a free trial. And just within probably 15 minutes, you can have an environment in the cloud that you can work with, deploy your flows to, and so on.
Fantastic.
And once you decide to go beyond that, you can actually start paying for that environment if you want, or you can obviously deploy it on premise. But we also support you can deploy it anywhere. So you can run on Azure, you can run on AWS, you can run IBM software, all with the same license. And we've only just this week actually announced that we now support Docker as a container technology for IIB. So if you want to use Docker, there's a lot of interest in Docker. No problem at all. We run in there, fully supported, fully works.
Genius. Well, and if you're a business partner, feel free to contact us. Contact me. I'll put my email in the notes, and you can use our facilities here in the IBM Innovation Centre if you're crafting an application that uses any of these products. Let us know. These facilities are here for you to use. So drop me a line, and I'll put again my email in the notes. Mm-hmm. Andy, thanks, buddy. It's been an absolute joy to talk to you again.
As always, John. As always.
Take care, mate, and thanks for joining in. Bye,
everyone.